Well, hello YouTube, welcome back. So we're gonna address a couple of things today on my Chevelle. The first things that we're going to address is that the battery is, oh, I had the wording, is shorting out. There's something that's pulling the battery drop. So we're going to address that with some wiring. I'm not gonna do the wiring. Cole's gonna do the wiring because if you all know, wiring can be very difficult, hard, and cluster beep. But we're gonna address that today, figure out what's draining the battery, fix that so that we don't have to keep pulling off the battery. And then we're also going to address the neutral safety switch. We're going to install that, see if it works. But yeah, we're gonna address a couple other things too to get me ready for race day.
So like my pretty little lady said, we're looking into some wiring. The drain on the battery is kind of a nuisance, and I did some poking around already, and I've narrowed down the cause. And well, it's not that something was done wrong, it's just that it needs one more step to be right. It's almost there. So first things first, I'll go ahead and connect the battery. The key is, make sure the key's in the off position. Yeah, key's in the off position, which means right now nothing should be pulling any power. But if I take my meter and just set it right there, if I check across ground and the temperature sending unit. Oh, it gives me nothing because I don't have the relay plugged in where I was checking stuff. Hold on, let me plug the relay back in. So this car's got a cold case fan unit that came with a temperature driven thermostat setup to power the fans when needed. At 180 degrees, the fans kick on. But with the way this is currently wired, now key is off, and if I check across to the sending unit, I get 12.5 volts. You want to show them? So we're getting 12.5 volts right there. That means that with the key off, this temperature sending unit is always pulling power, and we don't want that. The reason it was done this way, or the directions probably said to install it this way, is the way it's currently wired. You're driving down the road, it gets up to temperature, you pull in somewhere, you park, you turn the car off. The fans will stay on to cool your engine down quicker, cool your coolant down quicker, cool the radiator off, which isn't a bad thing. It can actually be a really good thing, with the downside that we're drawing power. So to fix this, what I'm going to end up doing is using a relay. I'm going to create an interlock circuit that will still allow the fans to run after the key is off, but once the fans drop below 160, which is where the fan circuit shuts the fans off, it will then cut the power to the temperature sending unit. To reignite that system, this relay is going to be triggered by a key on. When you go key on, this relay will close. It'll provide power to the temperature sending unit. When that hits 180, which turns the fans on, the fans are going to will bypass power direct off the fan power to continue powering the temperature sending unit until the fans turn off. And then it breaks the circuit, meaning when the engine's cool, no power is being drawn anywhere, and it'll be able to not kill the battery, but still be able to run the fans after the key's off when needed. I know, kind of wordy and whatnot.
And this is why I'm gonna have him do it and not me.
All right, to start, we want to, especially anytime you're working on your electrical system, disconnect your battery, because you don't want to short stuff out unintentionally. It can cause lots of bad problems. You can burn up wiring, all kinds of stuff. So you start by disconnecting the battery, and then what I'm going to end up doing is over here at the fan relay, this red wire right here. I don't know how well you can see it, but there's a red wire right here. That's the power from the fan relay. This one right here is the power from the fan relay to the actual fans up front. I'm going to take this wire and it's going to get split, and this white wire is going to get connected with the red wire right here. Both of these will be connected so that they're actually both running here. Then at this end of the white wire right here, I'm going to split this wire, and that's what's going to go be connected by my relay, which will then be triggered by a new wire that I'm adding that's going to come from the key ignition inside the car. And obviously the relays will be grounded. That will create an interlock circuit that should work. We'll find out. We won't make you ride along for all of it. I'm going to set the wiring up kind of loose before we tuck it all away. I'll show you it all hooked up and how I hooked it up. And then we'll see about testing it. We'll test it at the same time that we test the neutral safety switch, which I'm going to do in a very similar manner using another relay. So I'm actually adding 2 relays. And the neutral safety switch, this is our starter wire that initiates or turns the coil, fires the coil for the starter. We're going to take that and we're going to split that on a relay that's going to go right here. So we're going to end up with 2 relays mounted right here. This is going to get split by the relay, and then there's going to be another yellow wire coming from inside the car, same place as this one, and it's going to be coming from our switch at our shifter, which is going to get ignition power from the key as well, and inside coming from under the dash. So we'll end up with 2 relays mounted right here, one for neutral safety switch pass through and the other for our fan interlock. We'll test all of that hopefully here in a little bit. I'm going to get some wiring thrown in the car. As far as doing the wiring itself, it's nothing too complicated. It's just running some lengths of wire. Make sure you give it good routing, good crimps, proper connectors, and it's easy peasy lemon squeezy. So catch up with you here in a little bit with some new wires thrown in the car. You guessed it. So I plan to do an interlock circuit with the relay setup how I explained just a moment ago for you. For me, it was a while ago. Not gonna work. Something about the way the relay is for the cold case fan setup, it was not happy. It wasn't liking my attempt. So I went on and I looked up Cold Case's wiring diagram for their setup, and the way they have it wired does not have the fans running when the ignition is off. So this one was actually wired incorrectly to constant power, which is, again, that's where our battery drain was coming from. To do it correctly per Cold Case's wiring diagram, I would have had to completely rewire the fan circuit, because the main power for the fan circuit is off of a constant, not off a key source. And I really didn't want to do that because a lot of the wiring on this car is actually done really clean. It's tucked away, it's in sheathing, it's got zip ties. All bunch of good stuff about how it's done, other than the fact that the fans are to constant power and not key power. So what I did, not too much different than what my interlock circuit idea was, which I still think I might revisit in the future because I think it can work. I think I just might have missed something. But what I ended up doing was I still put a relay in right here that interrupts the signal from the temp sending unit. By interrupting the signal from the temp sending unit with the key and cutting the 12-volt power from that, it'll disable the fans. It'll work. And it's doing it on the low voltage side, so our direct power through our power distribution is still direct to the fans, which is good for giving the fans proper amperage. So it needs to be tested. We're getting ready to do that. Getting ready to test it and get some stuff out of the way. And then the other circuit that's in there on the second relay is our neutral safety switch. I had to fiddle with that a little bit to get it to work. because the way the switches were mounting on the shifter itself, they weren't actually disengaging at all. I ended up having to bend the little prongs on the switches a little bit so that they have the right amount of movement to engage and disengage appropriately for the neutral safety switch to work. Again, that hasn't been tested yet because, well, if it doesn't work, you're going to get to see it at the same time I am. You'll see my disappointment in my efforts and maybe be entertained by it, or we got it all right and it'll work. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to grab the meter. Our battery is connected right now, and if you recall, short bit ago in the video, when we checked voltage across the battery to, or from a ground to our temp sending unit, like such, ground here to our temp sending unit, we were getting 12 volts. Now we're getting 0 volts. Here comes the fun part. I go hit the key to the key on position, and we should have 12 volts. I don't have the key connected yet. Hold on. Pop in. We'll look at this and we'll circle back to that. Because this is just a push-on connector, so it only takes a second to put it on. But I left it off so that I could show you my neutral safety switch, which the top switch is reverse lights, which I didn't bother to wire up right now. The bottom micro switch is the neutral safety switch. These are the little prongs I was talking about. I don't know if you can see them, but there's little prongs that ride in grooves on the side of the shifter. That's what I had to play with a little bit, and the position of the switches, because there is a little bit of slot adjustment. But so my neutral safety switch now runs to that relay out there that interrupts the purple wire and opens that relay, and it is wired in right here onto my ignition on circuit, which is live in both the on and the start position. And then same thing with my fan relay. It's wired into that same circuit so that it has power in the on and in the start position. So if I get under here and I plug this guy back in, this is the fun part, getting under the dash so I can see what it, oh goodness. Yeah, old man grunts, I know. Ow. Okay. This goes up under here, which you're not going to be able to see at all. That's fine. Don't worry. Which way do you go? You go this way. Now, most of the GM keys from the 60s era are all wired the same. If you're doing this, you can just Google up a wiring diagram for a 60s era GM key, and it'll tell you what's what on there. Otherwise, you can play around with a meter for a while and you can figure it out. But, all right, we are connected now. And it's just a snap hook that puts that on there. So, as I was saying, if we go to key on, now we're in the key on position. If we go out here, and we recheck our fan that we just looked at a moment ago, our relay should be engaged. And I touch the little thing, and we have 12 volts. So, that's good. Everything's working there. Now, to make sure our relay is working, what I'm actually going to do, this is kind of a trick you can do with a light bulb. What this will do is this is going to create a load on the same kind of load that this sensor creates. When I touch these two wires, the bulb won't light up, but the current passing through the bulb will create resistance, which is similar to creating a temperature signal that gets sent to the relay, and it will make the fans turn on. So I touch there, and I touch here to a ground. And there we go, our fans work. So as I disconnect it, it gets a proper temperature signal, which is below the threshold for the fans. They turn back off. So, the last thing we got to check, other than running the car long enough to actually engage the fans off the temp sending unit to make sure, which we'll do later, but we need to see if the neutral safety switch is working. So, Neutral safety switch, what it does is it ensures that the shifter is in either park or neutral in order for the starter motor to engage. So right now I'm in park, and when I bump the key, the starter will go. Okay, I bring it back to neutral. We're in neutral, or are we in reverse? No, we're in reverse. So in reverse, we should not be able to start. GoPro got me again. It did its stupid thing. I looked last night or this morning to see if there was a new update to flash on there. There's not. Whatever. Moving on. Right. So we'll start from the shifter thing again because I don't know where it's going to cut it off. We're in park. If we bump the key in park, we get starter action. If we go to reverse, which is what we're in right now, no starter action.
No, you gotta go one more.
Oh, I was
Remember, it's the two.
Yeah, that's right. I'm still getting used to this shifter. Sorry, guys. Okay, so park is reverse is 2 clicks. The first 2 clicks is actually all just park. Okay, so now we're in reverse. If I bump the key, nothing. And then I come back.
That's drive. If you're if you're in the little slot, you're drive. There you go. Nope, that's drive. Yep.
Okay, so that's neutral. So it should start right here. Okay, we got starter action. And then we drop into drive. And we have starter action. Why do we have starter action right there? Why do we have starter action?
Because you're in drive and then you're in neutral.
No, this should be...
That's drive.
Yeah, which means the starter should not go. Okay, I might have to play with the little bendy thing again. We're probably right at the limit of where that little switch needs to be. So if I just tweak it just a little bit more. Okay, let's try that. All right, from the top, we're in park, which will start, obviously, and that's still park, and now we're in reverse right here. This should be a no start situation. No start. All right, I was kind of worried there.
Just one click. There.
That's neutral. It will start in this position. We already know the car starts, so I'm not going to test that.
Drive.
That's drive, and looks like, okay, so we should not start. Hey, no start, which means when we pull down in gears, still no start. What about right here? Okay, that's neutral. If I click it, there's drive. Yep, that's neutral, so it should have started right there.
If you're in the slot, how's that neutral?
It's not, that's neutral. Okay, so here's the thing. This shifter, like I said, this shifter's new to us and we're still getting used to it. But the way it works is this is drive, right? If you click all the way down to first, so we're in first gear, it's turbo 350. And you go up once, that's second gear. You go up twice, that's third gear. You go up again, that's neutral. But you can't get back to park from this gate. So you actually have to go into drive or third gear and come up to go into reverse or park. So it will click into neutral with it all the way down in that key slot. It's just the way the gates on this shifter work. So there is a neutral right there. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, I think it makes sense. Either way, we're right here, we're in neutral, so if I hit the key, nothing happens. Oh no, it starts. Ah, I'm mixing myself up. Okay, neutral, engine starts. And then if I come down to drive, one gear, and I hit the key, nothing happens. Hey, it did what it was supposed to. Okay, as long as I remember what the shift pattern does, then we're working. Okay, So there you have it. That's the wiring mess. It was kind of a pain in the neck to mess with these switches. What I will tell you is when you're setting up your switches, let me grab my meter. Grab my meter. A voltmeter is key because, like I said, I had to actually bend the little prongs on the switches a little bit to get them to work right. So what you can do before you ever apply any power to anything, or even hook any wires up, if you're just trying to get your switches in the right place, is you set your voltmeter to ohms, or the little horseshoe looking thing, which this meter also beeps when the circuit is completed like this. So I'm touching the two, we have a complete circuit, it beeps and you have 0 ohms. That's the same as a switch being in the on position. Now if the switch is in the off position, like these aren't touching, they're not connected, that's the same as one of these switches being in the off position, it'll say OL, which is open loop is what that stands for. Now what you do with your switch is you take your probes and you touch each side of the switch. If the switch is on, it'll actually beep or say 0. You can see how it still says open loop. Now if I put it back in reverse, so there's reverse. If I touch that same switch, again, this one's for my reverse lights, not my neutral safety.
You're in neutral right now. No, there you go.
There's reverse.
There's reverse.
Man, this shifter's gonna take me a while to get used to.
There we go.
So, reverse position, and you can see I'm reading 0.1 ohms, so there's a little bit of resistance in this switch, which is no big deal. But that's how you can test it. With a meter, you can test to see if, let's see if I can hold these with one hand.
Do you want me to shift?
No, here we go. Okay, so as you can hear it's beeping, that means we've got a closed circuit. And now if I move it out of reverse, it goes to open loop, which means my reverse lights would have turned off. Okay, so other than the fact that I'm a dip and this shifter pattern has more clicks than I expect it to have to do things, the switches are doing what they're supposed to where they're supposed to do it, so we are good with that. The fan circuit is working like it should, so all we have to do is actually run the car long enough for the fans to come on, which takes a good 15-20 minutes or a good bit of driving to actually get up to temperature, so we're not going to do that on camera. But I did show you the fan circuit works when we put a load on it. It actually fires the fans, so we're good on fans, we're good on neutral safety switch. It's just some wire cleanup, which we'll use some loom and secure the wire, and we'll be done with the electrical work that needs to happen right now. Sometime in the future, I'll do reverse lights. Over to you, woman. Let them know where we're headed next.
All right, so those are two things that we can mark off right now. So where we're going to be headed next is we are going to take care of the holes in the wall so that it's not a sauna. And then we're going to try and do the firewall in the back because there has to be one in the back. And we also need to check out the transmission leak, and we need to do the fuel lines.
Well, we're not getting the fuel transmission today.
Yes, but we're not getting to those today, but that is literally all that's left on the rest of the list. So what we're going to take care of next is the hole in the wall so that coal doesn't fake. And obviously I can't have that to race either. So we're going to get a couple of things ready and we'll be right back.
We've got fill panels made. Paige went through and made a nice little template, and then I went and cut that template out of some sheet metal. We threw some paint on it. Ooh, it's kind of hot. Sitting in the sun, so that paint will dry up pretty quick. Still a little sticky, but that's fine. You'll want to take these from your side. Actually, you want the nut and the lock washer. I need the bolt and the other washer. I'll put them in from this side. So what we're doing is, can you see the panel real quick? The panel, I actually drilled it match drilled it to the holes that are already in the firewall for the heater core or the heater box or air box or whatever that, for the heater box. Yeah, it's heater box. So that we didn't have to make any new holes in the firewall. It's going to be secured with 5 bolts. They're a little bit overkill on size. They're a 3/8 bolt, way more than's really needed for this, but it allows us to use those holes that are pre-existing to bolt this in, and it will also cover the openings where the heater lines actually come out of the firewall. So we'll be covering up all of those larger holes that are there, which should get us through tech as far as our firewall security goes.
And not cook you.
And yeah, and the it won't pump hot engine air off the radiator and the header right into the engine compartment, or right into the passenger compartment to the passenger's legs. So it's kind of a 2-person job because we are using nut and bolt. So I'm just gonna I'll show you when we're done, because she's not going to be able to get that to stay there until I get in there and hold the nuts in place. Be right back.
You took care of the hole.
Good job, good job. So as you can see, it's patched up. We don't have a gaping hole. It's one step bug. One step closer to Paige being ready to go ahead and go zip, zip, zip down the track. We got a couple little things left. We'll probably tackle on the next video. The big one being the fuel system, and then the rear firewall. That one's probably gonna be a pain in the neck because gonna have to crawl into the trunk to do it.
Yep.
That'll be fun. But good progress.
Yep, so we only have a couple more things on the list, and then we're good.
You want to get this piece of junk out of my shop?
Yeah, I can do that.
Oh, before you go, grab the voltmeter. Let's see if our battery is still at 12.5 volts. Yeah. So since fixing the, what I believe was the battery drain issue earlier today, the battery has been connected the entire time. So we'll find out if our battery draw has gone down. We need to go to DC volts and probe each side. 12.5, no change.
So your wiring, I'm pretty sure did good.
I think it's fixed, so we don't have to disconnect the battery anymore.
Yay!
We'll know for sure the next time we go to actually drive the car on a different day, because then we'll find out if the battery is still charged.
Yes.
So, anyway, I think we're about done for today. Putting some wire away before I lose it. And
That was an accomplishment for the day.
we do have to do some cleanup on the wiring inside the car. I got to get some sheathing and some zip tie, stick-on zip tie holders, because, well, we don't have any carpet to hide the wire under.
Not yet.
Not yet. Soon enough, soon enough. But for now, we got to make sure those wires stay out of the way. So don't stomp on the wires.
I'll try not to.
Fire it up. So, and just for safe measure, before we sign off on this video, we're gonna go ahead and make sure that the fans actually do kick on like they're supposed to. So the thermostat just is sitting about 185, 182. I think they might be a 190 set. We'll see. as long as they kick on here shortly, we should be good. Man, this car does sound good though. Especially you get out here behind it. Just good old hot rod sound. I love it. And it fires up so good. All right, what are we looking at? Oil pressure sitting right around 48 to 50. 185. Maybe we got to get to 190. It's probably got to get to 190. Downside of not being the one who actually purchased these parts, and I don't 100% know what the setting's supposed to be, but as long as it does what it should, which it should do any moment now, and we'll hear it. But for now, I guess we get to listen to good. There's our fans. You hear that? You hear it? I know you heard it. What are we at? 190. So the fans trigger at 190. They kicked on just like they're supposed to. I dig it. So we're gonna, well, there's one more thing to check, right? Turn the key off, fans should turn off, right? Let's, well, if everything else worked the way it should, that probably will too, right? Let's find out. Reaching. And there they are. They turned off. And we turn it back on. Starts up like a champ. Fans are running because it was still up to temperature. Idle's perfect. That'll do. We'll see you guys on the next one.